In the soft embrace of twilight, where shadows lengthen like gentle prayers across the earth, there exists a sacred space between day and night, a threshold where wisdom whispers its ancient truths to those who pause to listen. Tonight, as stars begin their quiet dance in the velvet sky, we gather in this moment of stillness, this sanctuary of peace where the heart can finally rest from its endless seeking, its ceaseless striving to be what others wish it to be. Before we begin this gentle journey together, if you find solace in these quiet wisdom stories, if your soul yearns for the soft teachings that help us sleep deeply and peacefully, feel free to subscribe to this sacred space we share. Give this video a like if it brings you comfort, and gently share in the comments where in the world you're listening from tonight. Are you beneath the northern lights? By a warm hearth in the mountains? Perhaps in a city apartment where traffic hums like a distant ocean? Wherever you are welcomed here in this circle of quiet understanding. Now, let us breathe together slowly, deeply, and imagine ourselves walking along an ancient path where cherry blossoms drift like snow in springtime, each petal carrying with it the wisdom of letting go. Picture a lone monk moving through a misty forest at dawn, his footsteps silent on the moss-covered stones, his heart unburdened by the weight of others' expectations. See the thin curl of incense rising in a temple's stillness, its smoke dissolving into emptiness, teaching us about the nature of all things that we cling to so desperately. Tonight, we explore a profound teaching, a pathway to inner freedom that has been walked by countless souls before us. We journey into the ancient art of releasing ourselves from the exhausting dance of pleasing everyone, of being all things to all people, of losing ourselves in the reflection of others' desires. This is the path of the lotus, which grows from muddy waters, yet blooms pure and untouched. This is the way of the mountain, which stands serene, regardless of the storms that rage around it. This is the wisdom of the Buddha himself, who showed us that our deepest suffering comes not from others, but from our desperate attachment, being someone we are not. Close your eyes now, dear friend, and let your breathing deepen. Feel your body sinking into whatever supports you: bed, chair, cushion. Let gravity hold you as gently as a mother holds her sleeping child. Tonight, we discover together what it means to be truly free, to find peace in our own authentic being, to rest in the knowing that we need not carry the world's approval on our weary shoulders. Asterisk, asterisk, in the traditional temples of old, this question would echo through halls lit by flickering butter lamps, bouncing off stone walls worn smooth by countless seekers who came before us. It is a koan, a gentle riddle that the mind cannot solve, but the heart can understand. Imagine, if you will, a still pond at dawn, its surface like polished glass, reflecting perfectly the sky above. Now watch as a single stone drops into its center, the ripples spreading outward, disturbing the perfect reflection, creating movement where there was stillness. This is what happens to our inner peace when we try to be everything to everyone. Each expectation, each demand for our approval, each moment we twist ourselves into shapes that are not our own face, are stones thrown into the sacred pond of our being. But here is the profound mystery that the ancient ones discovered. Beneath those ripples, in the depths of that pond, the water remains perfectly still. No matter how many stones are thrown, no matter how disturbed the surface becomes, the essence of the water itself is unchanged. It simply is what it is, without apology, without effort, without the need to reflect anything other than its own pure nature. Tonight, as your breath grows deeper and your body grows heavier with the gift of approaching sleep, ask yourself this gentle question: who am I when I am not trying to be anyone else? In the Buddhist tradition, there is a beautiful teaching about the moon and its reflection in water. Countless bodies of water may reflect the same moon, rivers, lakes, puddles, even a single dewdrop. Each reflection appears different, shaped by the nature of what contains it. The river's reflection dances and flows. The lake's is broad and serene. The puddle's is small and temporary. Yet the moon itself remains unchanged, shining with the same quiet light regardless of how it appears in each reflection. You, dear friend, are that moon. Your essence, your true self, remains constant and luminous, even as you appear different in the mirrors of others' expectations. The reflection that your family sees, that your friends see, that strangers see, these are not false. But they are not the whole truth either. They are simply facets of your light as it touches different surfaces. The suffering comes when we believe we are the reflection. We think we must be the dancing river self for one person, the serene lake self for another, the temporary puddle self for yet another. We exhaust ourselves trying to maintain all these different reflections, forgetting that our true natural moonlight itself asks for nothing, needs nothing, simply is. Listen now to the silence between your heartbeats. In that tiny space of emptiness, there is no one to please, no expectations to meet, no performance to maintain. There is only the simple truth of being alive, of being aware, of existing as you are in this very moment. This is the sound of your authentic self, not a sound at all, but a presence, a stillness, a deep knowing that requires no audience. What remains when we let go of everything we think we should be? The Buddhist teachers of old would say, only Buddha nature remains. Only the pure awareness that witnesses all things, but is touched by none. Only the love that loves without needing to be loved in return. Only the peace that exists before any thought of pleasing or disappointing arises. As your eyelids grow heavy, let this question rest gently in your heart like a seed planted in fertile soil. You need not answer it tonight. Simply let it be there, patient and kind, waiting to bloom in its own perfect time. Asterisk, asterisk, in the soft light of understanding, let us turn our hearts toward the gentle wisdom that has guided seekers for over 2,000 years. The Buddha, sitting beneath the Bodhi tree in his final moments of awakening, discovered a truth so simple and profound that it continues to whisper peace into troubled hearts across the centuries. He spoke of dukkha, not just suffering, but the peculiar restlessness of a heart that seeks happiness in all the wrong places. Imagine a butterfly, beautiful and delicate, trying desperately to land on its own shadow. No matter how quickly it moves, how gracefully it dances, the shadow always remains just out of reach. This is the nature of our suffering when we seek our worth in others' approval, our peace in others' happiness with us. The Buddha taught that this suffering arises from tanha, a word that means thirst, but not the simple thirst for water. Rather, it is the deeper thirst of the soul that believes it will be complete when others love us enough, when we make everyone happy, when no one is disappointed in us, when we finally become the perfect person that everyone wants us to be. Picture now a desert traveler, lost beneath the blazing sun, chasing mirages across endless dunes. Each shimmering vision promises the oasis that will quench his thirst, but every time he reaches where the water appeared to be, he finds only more sand, more emptiness, more longing. This is how we chase the approval of others, always one more person to please, one more expectation to meet, one more version of ourselves to perfect. But here, in the gentle cradle of Buddhist wisdom, we discover something revolutionary. The water was never in the mirage. The peace we seek is not found in making others happy with us. It exists right now, in this moment, in the simple act of being present to what is, without needing it to be different. The ancient Pali texts speak of upadana, clinging, grasping, holding on. We cling to the image of ourselves as the good daughter, the helpful friend, the accommodating colleague, the person who never says no, never disappoints, never causes any ripple in the smooth surface of others' comfort. We grasp these roles so tightly that we forget they are not who we are. They are simply clothing we have worn for so long. We believe they are our skin. in one of the most beautiful sutras. The Buddha speaks of letting go like a person releasing a handful of sand. The tighter we squeeze, the more quickly it slips through our fingers. But open the hand gently, with love and understanding, and the sand rests peacefully in our palm, present but not possessed, held but not grasped. Tonight, as your body settles deeper into rest, imagine your heart as this open palm. See all the expectations you carry, all the versions of yourself you maintain for others, all the careful performances you give. Imagine them as grains of golden sand resting gently in your loving awareness. You need not throw them away or reject them harshly. Simply hold them lightly, knowing they are temporary, knowing they are not you. The Lotus Sutra teaches us that we are like lotus flowers, capable of blooming in the muddiest waters while remaining unstained. The mud is not our enemy. It is the very condition that allows our beauty to emerge. Your struggles with people-pleasing, your tender heart that wants everyone to be happy, your deep capacity for love and care, these are not flaws to be eliminated. They are the mud from which your wisdom blooms. But the lotus does not try to clean the pond. It does not exhaust itself, attempting to make the water clearer for other flowers. It simply grows toward the light, roots anchored in the earth, petals open to the sky, trusting that its natural unfolding is enough, that its authentic beauty serves the world more than any performance ever could. In the Zen tradition, there is a profound teaching called Shinjin, the mind of faith, the heart that trusts its own Buddha nature. This is not faith in external approval or validation, but faith in the inherent okayness of your being exactly as you are in this moment. It is the deep knowing that you were born worthy, that your value is not dependent on your ability to make others comfortable or happy. Master Dogen, the great Zen teacher, wrote, "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self." What does it mean to forget the self? Not to become unconscious or absent, but to release our grip on the constructed self, the self that must be perfect, that must please everyone, that must never disappoint or upset anyone. We forget this constructed self. What remains? The same presence that watches your breath right now, the same awareness that hears these words and feels your body settling into sleep, the same love that beats your heart without asking permission, that dreams your dreams without needing approval. This is your Buddha nature, dear friend. Not something you must earn or achieve, but something you already are. Not a goal to reach by pleasing everyone, but a reality to recognize by coming home to your own authentic being. Asterisk, asterisk, the Lotus Sutra teaches use that we are like lotus flowers, capable of blooming in the muddiest waters while remaining unstained. The mud is not our enemy. It is the very condition that allows our beauty to emerge. Your struggles with people-pleasing, your tender heart that wants everyone to be happy, your deep capacity for love and care, these are not flaws to be eliminated. They are the mud from which your wisdom blooms. But the lotus does not try to clean the pond. It does not exhaust itself, attempting to make the water clearer for other flowers. It simply grows toward the light, roots anchored in the earth, petals open to the sky, trusting that its natural unfolding is enough, that its authentic beauty serves the world more than any performance ever could. In the Zen tradition, there is a profound teaching called Shinjin, the mind of faith, the heart that trusts its own Buddha nature. This is not faith in external approval or validation, but faith in the inherent okayness of your being exactly as you are in this moment. It is the deep knowing that you were born worthy, that your value is not dependent on your ability to make others comfortable or happy. Master Dogen, the great Zen teacher, wrote, "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self." What does it mean to forget the self? Not to become unconscious or absent, but to release our grip on the constructed self, the the self that must be perfect, that must please everyone, that must never disappoint or upset anyone. We forget this constructed self. What remains? The same presence that watches your breath right now. The same awareness that hears these words and feels your body settling into sleep. The same love that beats your heart without asking permission. It dreams your dreams without needing approval. This is your Buddha nature, dear friend. Not something you must earn or achieve, but something you already are. Not a goal to reach by pleasing everyone, but a reality to recognize by coming home to your own authentic being. Asterisk, asterisk, let me share with you a story that has been passed down through generations of Buddhist teachers, whispered in meditation halls and temple gardens, carried like a gentle flame from heart to heart across the centuries. Many years ago, in a monastery nestled high in the misty mountains of Tibet, there lived a young monk named Tenzin. He had joined the Sangha with the purest of intentions, his heart burning with the desire to serve, to help, to bring peace and happiness to all beings. From the moment he arrived, he threw himself into pleasing everyone around him with the fervor of autumn winds scattering leaves. When the elder monks needed water carried from the well, Tenzin carried it before they could ask. When the temple floors needed sweeping, he swept them 3 times to be sure they were perfectly clean. When visitors came seeking wisdom, he stayed up all night preparing tea and arranging cushions, his eyes red with exhaustion, but his smile bright with the joy of service. The other monks began to rely on Tenzin for everything. Need food prepared? Tenzin would do it. Need a message delivered to the village below? Tenzin would run down the mountain path, his robes fluttering like prayer flags in his eagerness to help. Need someone to take the blame when something went wrong? Somehow, Tenzin would find a way to accept responsibility, even for mistakes that were not his own. For months, this continued. Tenzin grew thinner, his meditation practice suffered, and his sleep became fitful and brief. But still he smiled, still he served, still he bent himself into whatever shape others needed him to be. He believed this was the path to enlightenment, to dissolve himself completely in service to others' happiness. One morning, as autumn painted the mountain peaks in shades of gold and crimson, Tenzin collapsed while carrying water from the well. The wooden buckets scattered, spilling their contents into the earth, and the young monk lay there in the mud, unable to rise, his body finally refusing to carry the weight of everyone else's expectations. The abbot, an ancient man whose eyes held the depth of still mountain lakes, found Tenzin there. Without a word, he helped the young monk to his feet and led him to a small garden behind the temple, where a single cherry tree grew beside a weathered stone bench. "Sit," the abbot said gently, his voice like wind through pine needles. "Look." At this tree, Tenzin sat, still trembling with exhaustion, and looked. The cherry tree was magnificent, its branches reaching toward the sky, its roots anchored deep in the earth, its trunk strong and centered. A few late blossoms still clung to its branches, soft pink petals occasionally drifting down to rest on the stone path below. "Tell me, young Tenzin," the abbot said, settling beside him on the bench. "Does this tree try to please the wind by bending in every direction it blows?" "No, teacher," Tenzin replied, though he was not sure where this was leading. "Does it try to please the earth by growing its roots in whatever direction the soil demands?" "No, teacher." "Does it apologize to the other plants for taking up space in the garden? Does it try to change the color of its blossoms because the roses wish all flowers were red?" Tenzin was quiet now, beginning to understand. The abbot continued, his voice soft as falling snow. "And yet, is the tree selfish? Does it serve no one but itself?" Tenzin looked more carefully at the tree. Birds nested in its branches. Bees gathered nectar from its blossoms. Its roots held the soil together, preventing erosion. Its shade provided relief from the summer sun. Its beauty brought joy to all who saw it. It serves by being itself, Tenzin whispered. Ah, the abbot smiled, and his smile was like sunrise breaking over the mountain peaks. The tree serves the world best by growing according to its own nature. It drinks when it is thirsty, rests when it is tired, blooms when it is ready. It does not exhaust itself trying to be what others want it to be. And because it honors its own truth, it has something genuine to offer. They sat in silence for a long time, watching the occasional petal fall, each one perfect in its letting go. Finally, the abbot spoke again. You joined us seeking to serve all beings, and this is beautiful. But how can you truly serve others? If you lose yourself completely? How can you offer water from a well that has run dry? How can you light the way for others if you have blown out your own flame in trying to kindle everyone else's? Tenzin felt tears beginning to flow, tears of relief, of recognition, of coming home to a truth he had forgotten. But teacher, if I don't please everyone, if I say no sometimes, if I honor my own needs, won't that be selfish? Won't others be disappointed? The old abbot chuckled, a sound like water flowing over smooth stones. Look again at the tree, my son. When it grows according to its nature, does it harm others? When it stands firm in its center, does it cause suffering? No, Tenzin said. It actually serves better by being authentic. Just so, when you honor your own truth, when you care for yourself with the same compassion you show others, when you say yes from genuine choice rather than fear, then your service becomes a gift rather than a depletion. Others may indeed be disappointed sometimes when you cannot be what they want you to be, but disappointment is not damage. It is simply part of life, like clouds passing across the sky. As the sun began to set behind the mountain peaks, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold, Tenzin felt something shift inside him. It was like a bird, long caged, suddenly remembering it had wings. From that day forward, Tenzin learned to serve from his center rather than his fear. He helped others joyfully when his heart was full and his body was strong. He rested when he was tired, knowing that this too was the service of modeling, self-care and sustainability. He said no with kindness when his spirit needed solitude or his energy required replenishing. And the most miraculous thing happened. The more authentic Tenzin became, the more genuinely helpful he was to others. His presence became a gift rather than a performance. His smile carried real joy rather than forced cheer. His service flowed from abundance rather than depletion. The other monks initially grumbled about the change, having grown accustomed to Tenzin's unlimited availability. But gradually, they too began to take responsibility for their own needs, to find their own strength, to discover their own capacity for service. The whole monastery became healthier, more balanced, more authentic. Years later, when Tenzin had become a teacher himself, students would ask him about the path to enlightenment. He would take them to the garden, to the same cherry tree, now ancient and even more magnificent in its authentic being. Learn from this tree, he would say. Serve the world by being yourself. Grow according to your own nature. Bloom when you are ready. Let go with grace. Trust that your authentic presence is the greatest gift you can offer. And as night settles around us now, dear friend, let Tenzin's story rest gently in your heart. You too are like that cherry tree, meant to grow according to your own nature, to serve from your authentic center, to bloom in your own time and way. Asterisk, asterisk. Now, dear friend, as the night grows deeper around us and your body settles more completely, into rest, let us turn gently inward like a traveler who has walked many miles and finally arrives at the threshold of home. Close your eyes if they are not already closed, and bring your attention to the simple miracle of your breathing. Notice how the breath comes and goes without any effort from you, without any need to please or perform or be anything other than alive in this moment. Your lungs expand and contract with the same natural rhythm as waves touching the shore, receiving and releasing in perfect harmony with the pulse of existence itself. With each inhalation, imagine you are breathing in PACIOUSNESS ... vast, open sky settling into your chest, your belly, your entire being. This is the space of pure awareness, the space that exists before any thought of I should, or I must, or they want me to. This is the space of simply being without agenda, without the need to be approved of or understood or accepted by anyone. With each exhalation, feel yourself releasing the weight of others' expectations, letting them float away like dandelion seeds on a gentle breeze, not pushing them away with force or resistance, but simply opening your hands and allowing them to drift back to where they belong in the realm of things that are not yours to carry. Breathe in peace breath, out the need to be perfect. Breathe in presence, breathe out the fear of disappointing others. Breathe in your authentic self, breathe out the masks you wear to make others comfortable. Now, let your attention sink deeper, below the level of thoughts and worries, below the realm of shoulds and shouldn'ts, into the quiet depths of pure awareness. This is the part of you that watches your thoughts come and go like clouds across the sky. This is the part of you that remains constant while everything else changes. This is the part of you that has never needed anyone's approval because it is complete unto itself. In Buddhist teaching, this is called Rigpa, the natural awareness that is your true nature. It is not something you create or achieve. It is something you recognize, like suddenly seeing your own face in a mirror after forgetting what you looked like. This awareness is always present, always peaceful, always free from the anxiety of needing to be someone else. Feel yourself sinking into this awareness now, like settling into a warm bath after a long, cold day. Here in this space, there is no one to please and no one to disappoint. There are no expectations to meet and no performances to maintain. There is only the simple, profound fact of being aware, of being alive, of being exactly who you are without apology or explanation. Imagine now that you are sitting beside a gentle stream in a forest clearing. The water flows continuously, carrying leaves and twigs and flower petals along its surface. Sometimes the objects on the surface are beautiful: golden autumn leaves, pink cherry blossoms, smooth river stones. Sometimes they are less appealing: fallen branches, bits of debris, things that seem out of place. But the water itself is never disturbed by what it carries. It simply flows, accepting everything that comes, carrying everything along with equal grace, never holding on to anything, never pushing anything away. This is the nature of your true self, your Buddha nature. You can allow the thoughts and feelings about pleasing others to flow through your awareness like objects on the stream's surface, without believing that you are those thoughts and feelings. Watch now as a thought floats by. But what if they get upset with me? See it as just another leaf on the water, carried along by the natural current of the mind. You don't have to grab onto it or push it away. Simply notice it, acknowledge it with kindness, and let the stream of awareness carry it wherever it needs. To go. Another thought appears. I should make everyone happy. This too is just debris on the surface of the stream. Your true self, the flowing water of awareness, is not disturbed by this thought. It simply is, flowing in its own natural rhythm, complete and whole regardless of what passes through. Feel yourself becoming this stream, now fluid, adaptable, but never losing your essential nature. You can flow around obstacles without becoming them. You can reflect the sky above without needing to be the sky. You can nourish everything you touch while remaining essentially yourself. In this state of flowing awareness, notice how the desperate need to please everyone begins to feel less. urgent, less real. Not because you stop caring about others. This stream nourishes everything it touches, but because you remember that your care can flow from fullness rather than emptiness, from choice rather than compulsion, from love rather than fear. Breath is growing slower now, deeper, like the rhythm of ocean waves on a distant shore. With each breath, you sink more deeply into this understanding. You are the awareness that watches all experiences come and go. You are the sky through which all weather passes. You are the space in which all thoughts and feelings arise and dissolve. And in this space, this vast, loving awareness that you truly are, there is room for everyone to be exactly who they are, including you. There is room for others to feel disappointed without it meaning you have done something wrong. There is room for you to say no without it meaning you don't care. There is room for you to honor your own needs without it being selfish or unkind. Feel this spaciousness now, expanding with each breath, growing wider and more accepting, embracing everything with the unconditional love that is your deepest nature. This is the freedom the Buddha spoke of. Not freedom from caring about others, but freedom from the compulsive need to control their feelings about you. As you rest in this awareness, imagine roots growing down from your sitting bones into the earth below. Deep, strong roots that anchor you in your own truth, your own center, your own authentic being. These roots draw nourishment from the earth of your genuine nature, feeding the tree of your life with what it truly needs rather than what others think it should need. And from this rooted place, imagine branches growing upward and outward from your heart branches. They can offer shade and shelter to others, not because you must, but because it is natural for a healthy tree to share its gifts. Your service to the world flows effortlessly from this authentic place. Like fruit ripening on the branch when the time is right, you are both rooted and reaching, grounded and growing, stable in your center, yet generous in your expression. This is the middle way the Buddha taught, neither the extreme of losing yourself in service to others, nor the extreme of closing your heart to their needs. Simply being authentic, being present, being yourself, and trusting that this is enough. Rest. Here now in this perfect balance, this harmony of being and becoming, this peace that surpasses all understanding. Let your consciousness drift like a boat on calm water, carried by currents deeper than thought, guided by wisdom older than words. Asterisk, asterisk, in the soft darkness of deep night, when the world grows quiet enough to hear the secrets whispered between stars. Let us explore some of the hidden teachings that have been passed down through generations of awakened beings, gentle mysteries that illuminate the path to freedom from the endless need to please. There is an ancient Zen story that few people know, tucked away in the marginalia of old texts like a wildflower growing in the crack of a temple wall. It tells of a student who came to Master Yunmen with a question that had been burning in his heart for years. "Master," the student said, bowing deeply, "I have read all the sutras, practiced meditation daily, and tried my best to follow every teaching. Yet still I am miserable because I cannot make everyone in my life happy. What am I doing wrong?" Master Yunmen looked at the student for a long moment, his eyes twinkling with something that might have been mischief. Then he picked up a small pebble from the ground and held it out in his palm. "Can you make this stone happy?" he asked. The student was confused. "Master, stones have no feelings. They cannot be happy or unhappy." "Ah," said Yunmen, smiling. "Then why do you try to make people into stones?" The student's confusion deepened. "I don't understand, Master. How am I making people into stones?" "When you believe it is your responsibility to make others happy," Yunmen explained gently, "you are treating them as if they have no inner source of contentment, no capacity for finding their own peace, no Buddha nature of their own. You make them into objects that require your constant attention to maintain their emotional state, like stones that need to be polished to shine. The student sat with this teaching for a moment, feeling something shift in his understanding like tectonic plates moving deep beneath the earth. "But Master," he said finally, "if I don't try to make others happy, am I not being selfish?" Yunmin chuckled. "A sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Tell me, does the sun try to make the flowers happy when it rises each morning? No, Master. It simply shines. And yet, are the flowers not nourished by its light? Yes, Master, they are. The sun serves best by being authentically itself, not by dimming its light to avoid overwhelming some flowers, not by burning more intensely to please flowers that prefer more heat. It simply radiates its true nature, and this authentic radiance becomes a gift to all life." This teaching, hidden like a jewel in the lotus of Buddhist wisdom, reveals something profound. Our attempts to control others' happiness often come from a place of subtle arrogance, a belief that others cannot find their own way to contentment without our intervention. True compassion, the masters discovered, lies in trusting others' capacity for their own awakening, their own journey, their own relationship with happiness and sorrow. Here is another hidden truth, whispered in the monasteries of ancient Tibet. The Buddha himself once disappointed people. In the early days of his teaching, some followers left when they realized his path required facing suffering rather than avoiding it. Some wanted him to perform miracles to prove his enlightenment. Some wanted him to tell them exactly what to do rather than showing them how to find their own wisdom. And what did the Buddha do when people were disappointed in him? He continued teaching with compassion, but he did not change his message to please them. He did not dim his light to make others more comfortable. He trusted that those who were ready to hear would stay, and those who were not ready would find their path elsewhere. This was not coldness or lack of caring. This was profound respect for each person's individual journey. There is a beautiful practice from the Tibetan tradition called Tonglen, which means taking and giving. Usually, this practice is taught as breathing in suffering and breathing out relief. But there is a lesser-known variation that specifically addresses our addiction to pleasing others. Try this now, as your body rests and your breath flows naturally. On your next inhale, breathe in the discomfort of someone being disappointed in you, not to absorb it or take it on as your responsibility, but simply to acknowledge that disappointment exists in the world, that it is part of the human experience, that it is neither your fault nor your duty to prevent. On your exhale, breathe out the freedom for that person to feel whatever they feel without your interference. Send out the gift of space, the permission for them to have their own emotional experience, the trust in their capacity to work with their own feelings. Breathe in the fear of not being liked. Breathe out the courage to be authentic anyway. Breathe in the anxiety of saying no. Breathe out the strength to honor your own boundaries. Breathe in the guilt of disappointing others. Breathe out the wisdom that their disappointment is not your emergency. This practice gradually trains the heart to remain open and compassionate while also remaining free and authentic. It teaches us that we can care deeply about others without taking responsibility for their emotional states. Here is perhaps the most surprising hidden teaching of all. In the original Pali texts, there is a word, mudita, which is often translated as sympathetic, joy, the ability to feel happy when others are happy. But the deeper meaning of this word includes something revolutionary, the joy that comes from allowing others to find their own happiness rather than creating it for them. True mudita is the delight a parent feels when their child learns to walk on their own, not when the parent carries them everywhere. It is the joy a teacher feels when a student discovers their own wisdom, not when the teacher gives them all the answers. It is the happiness we experience when we trust others enough to let them find their own way to contentment, even if that path leads them away from us sometimes. This, the ancient masters whispered to their closest disciples, is the greatest service we can offer. to be so fully ourselves, so authentically present, so genuinely caring without attachment to outcomes, that we become a mirror in which others can see their own Buddha nature reflected as sleep draws nearer. Like a gentle tide covering the shore of consciousness, let these hidden truths settle into your awareness. You are not responsible for others' happiness, but you are responsible for your own authenticity. You cannot control others' reactions to your truth, but you can trust in their capacity to work with whatever arises. You need not dim your light to avoid disappointing others, but you can shine in such a way that your radiance reminds them of their own inner Luminosight. Why rest now in the comfort of these ancient secrets, these whispered wisdoms that have been waiting patiently for your heart to be ready to receive them? In the hushed cathedral of night, where thoughts move like shadows, across the walls of consciousness and dreams begin to weave their gentle tapestries. Let us explore the deepest mystery of all. Why do we suffer when others are unhappy with us? And where does true peace actually live? Picture, if you will, the surface of a mountain lake at midnight, so still it mirrors the stars perfectly. Each point of light above is reflected below, creating a double heaven of luminous beauty. This lake represents the natural state of your mind, peaceful, reflective, capable of holding infinite beauty without being disturbed by it. Now imagine that someone throws a stone into this perfect stillness. The ripples spread outward, distorting the reflection of the stars, breaking apart the seamless mirror of peace. This stone represents a moment when someone expresses disappointment in you, anger at your choices, or sadness that you cannot be who they want you to be. But here is what the Buddha discovered in his deepest meditation. The ripples are not the problem. The stone is not the problem. Even the person who threw the stone is not the problem. The suffering comes from our belief that the lake must always be perfectly still, that the stars must always be perfectly reflected, that peace can only exist when everyone around us is pleased with who we are. Watch now, in your mind's eye, as those ripples continue to move across the water. Notice how they gradually grow smaller, softer, until finally the surface returns to stillness all by itself. The stars reappear in the water, as beautiful as before. The lake has not been permanently damaged. It has simply experienced what lakes naturally experienceth temporary disturbance of waves, followed by the return to its essential peace. Your mind, dear friend, is like this lake. Others' disappointment, anger, or unhappiness creates ripples on your surface, but these ripples are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. Peace returns not when you prevent all stones from being thrown, but when you remember that your essential nature, like the lake's essential nature, is stillness itself. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from avidya, ignorance, or forgetting. We forget that we are the lake, and we begin to believe we are the ripples. We forget that we are the sky, and we begin to believe we are the weather. We forget that we are the awareness in which all experiences arise, and we begin to believe we are the experiences themselves. This forgetting is so natural, so human, so understandable. It happens to everyone who has ever loved, ever cared, ever opened their heart to another being. The child in us that once depended on others' approval for survival carries that pattern forward into adulthood, where it is no longer necessary, but feels just as urgent. But tonight, as your body grows heavier with approaching sleep and your breathing slows to match the rhythm of Earth turning through space, you can remember what you truly are. You are not the small self that needs everyone's approval. You are not the worried mind that believes others' happiness depends on your performance. You are the vast awareness in which all these experiences arise and dissolve, like clouds forming and dissolving in an infinite sky. The ancient texts speak of nirvana not as a place you go after death, but as a recognition available right now. The recognition that your essential nature is already free, already at peace, already complete. It is not something you achieve by making everyone happy with you. It is something you recognize by remembering what was never actually threatened by their unhappiness. Imagine now that you are sitting on that mountain where the lake rests, but you have climbed higher to a place where you can see the whole valley spread out below. From this perspective, you can see the lake, and you can also see the person who threw the stone. You can see their own struggles, their own ripples, their own efforts to find peace in a world that is constantly changing. Asterisk. From this elevated view, you begin to understand something profound. Their stone throwing was never really about you. It was about their own ripples, their own search for stillness, their own forgotten lake nature. People who are at peace with themselves rarely throw stones at others' serenity. Those who have found their own authentic center rarely demand that others contort themselves for their comfort. This understanding brings not judgment, but compassion. Not superiority, but tenderness. You see that everyone is struggling with the same fundamental forgetting. Everyone is trying to find peace in external circumstances, rather than recognizing the peace that is always available within. The Tibetan word, bodhicitta, describes the awakened heart. Not just compassion for others, but compassion for the whole dance of suffering and awakening that all beings participate in. From your mountain perspective, you can feel bodhicitta for the person who threw the stone, for your own ripples of reaction, for all the countless beings who are caught in the belief that peace depends on controlling the uncontrollable. And from this place of awakened compassion, a miracle occurs. You no longer need others to stop throwing stones for you to be at peace. You no longer need to control their reactions to maintain your serenity. You can care about their well-being without taking responsibility for their emotional states. You can love them without needing them to love you back in a particular way. This is true freedom, dear friend. Not the freedom from ever feeling the ripples when stones are thrown, but the freedom of knowing that you are the lake itself, vast, deep, naturally returning to stillness, capable of reflecting infinite beauty without being disturbed by temporary waves. As you sink deeper into the approaching embrace of sleep, let this understanding settle into your bones, into your cells, into the very core of your being. You are already whole. You are already worthy. You are already free. Others' opinions, reactions, disappointments, and even their love, these are all weather patterns in the sky of your awareness. Beautiful sometimes, challenging sometimes, but never threatening to the sky itself. The peace you seek is not something you create by managing others' feelings. It is something you recognize by remembering who you truly are beneath all the roles, all the performances, all the careful choreography of people-pleasing. You are the awareness that watches it all with infinite patience, infinite compassion, infinite acceptance. Rest now in this recognition, this homecoming to your own essential nature. Let the mountain hold you. Let the stars witness your peace. Let the lake of your mind return to its natural stillness as sleep carries you into dreams where you remember. Always remember that you are already everything you need to be. Asterisk, asterisk, in the gentle space between waking and sleeping, where consciousness drifts like a leaf on an autumn breeze. Let us explore one of the most profound mysteries of human existence, the art of letting go. Not letting go as abandonment or indifference, but letting go as the ultimate act of love, for others and for yourself. Imagine you are walking through an ancient forest where the trees have been growing for thousands of years. Their branches interweave high above, creating a cathedral of green light and dancing shadows. Here and there, shafts of golden sunlight filter through the canopy, illuminating patches of moss and fern that glow like emeralds in the forest twilight. As you walk this sacred path, you come upon a grove where the trees are engaged in the most beautiful dance. It is autumn, and one by one, the leaves are letting go, not with struggle or resistance, but with a grace so profound it takes your breath away. Each leaf releases its hold when its time has come, spiraling down through the air in patterns of gold and crimson and amber, finally coming to rest on the forest floor, where it will nourish new growth in seasons. Yet to come, notice how the trees do not chase after their falling leaves, trying to reattach them to the branches. They do not weep and plead and bargain to make the leaves stay. They do not exhaust themselves attempting to control the natural cycles of holding and releasing that govern all life. They simply let go, trusting in the wisdom of seasons, knowing that this letting go is not loss, but transformation. This is the teaching the Buddhist masters discovered in their deepest contemplations. Letting go is not about caring less, but about loving more skillfully. It is not about becoming cold or indifferent, but about becoming spacious enough to hold all of life's changes with grace. When someone is disappointed in you, when they express anger at choices or sadness at your boundaries, you face the same choice the tree faces with its leaves. You can exhaust yourself trying to make them reattach, trying to control their natural emotional process, trying to force them to stay in a state of happiness with you. Or you can love them enough to let them feel what they feel, trust them enough to believe in their capacity to work with their own experiences, and honor them enough to allow their authentic reactions without taking those reactions as a reflection of your worth. The Tao Te Ching speaks of this as Wu Wei, action that arises from non-action, help that comes from not helping, love that expresses itself through not controlling. It is the love that creates space rather than grasping, that offers presence rather than solutions, that trusts rather than manages. Picture now a mother bird watching her fledgling prepare to leave the nest. Every instinct in her being wants to keep her baby safe, close, protected. But her deepest love expresses itself by letting the young bird discover its own wings, its own strength, its own capacity to navigate the world. Her letting go is not abandonment, it is the ultimate gift of trust, the deepest expression of love. This is how we learn to love the people in our lives who are disappointed when we cannot be who they want us to be. We love them enough to let them have their disappointment without rushing to fix it. We trust them enough to believe they can work with their own feelings without our intervention. We honor them enough to allow them their authentic response to our authentic choices. But perhaps the deepest letting go of all is letting go of the version of yourself that you have created to please others. This false self that you have carefully constructed over years, the accommodating one, the agreeable one, the one who never rocks the boat or causes any inconvenience. This too must be released like a leaf in autumn, with gratitude for how it served you, but without clinging to what is no longer true. Feel now, in the soft darkness of approaching sleep, that false self beginning to dissolve, like mist disappearing at sunrise, like snow melting in spring, like clouds returning to the formless sky from which they arose. There is no violence in this dissolving, no harsh rejection or angry pushing away, simply a gentle recognition that this constructed identity was never who you truly are. As that false self dissolves, notice what remains. Notice the awareness that is reading these words. Notice the breath that flows without effort. Notice the heart that beats with its own rhythm. Notice the love that exists before any thought of needing to earn it. This is who you actually are. Not the performer, but the presence. Not the people pleaser, but the authentic being who exists prior to any role or identity. From this place of authentic being, service to others arises naturally, but it flows from fullness rather than emptiness, from choice rather than compulsion, from love rather than fear. Like water flowing downhill, it follows the path of least resistance, finding its way to where it is most needed without forcing or straining or depleting itself. The Buddha spoke of this as dana, generosity that arises spontaneously from the recognition of abundance rather than from a sense of obligation or guilt. When you know yourself as inherently complete, inherently worthy, inherently whole, your giving becomes a celebration rather than a sacrifice. Your care for others becomes an expression of joy rather than a desperate attempt to secure their approval. In the Zen tradition, there is a beautiful practice called dying before you die. It does not refer to physical death, but to the ego's death, the dissolving of the constructed self that believes its value depends on others' opinions. Tonight, as sleep approaches like a gentle tide, you can practice this dying, letting the people-pleasing self drift away like autumn leaves, trusting that what remains when it is gone is far more beautiful than what was released. Breathe now into this space of letting go. With each exhale, release another expectation you carry about needing to make others happy. With each inhale, receive the gift of your own authentic presence. Let the rhythm of breathing become a practice of release and return, release and return, until the boundary between you and the peaceful night dissolves entirely. You are learning to love like the forest loves its leaves completely, unconditionally, and with enough wisdom to know when letting go is the deepest expression of care. You are learning to serve like the river serves the ocean, flowing naturally toward what calls you, without trying to flow uphill to please the mountains. In this space of profound letting go, there is no loss, only transformation. No abandonment, only freedom. No coldness, only the warmth of authentic love that has space enough to hold everything, even disappointment, even disagreement, even the temporary absence of approval. Rest now in this spaciousness, this infinite capacity to love without controlling, to care without fixing, to serve without depleting yourself. Let sleep carry you deeper into the mystery of letting go, where you discover again and again that what you release in love always returns transformed, and what you hold too tightly always slips through your fingers like water seeking its own level. Asterisk, asterisk, in the deep velvet hours when night reaches its fullest embrace, when the world has grown so quiet you can almost hear the turning of the earth itself. Let us journey into the heart of what the Buddha meant by awakening. Not as a distant goal to achieve, but as a recognition that is available right now, in this very moment of gentle breathing and settling consciousness. Imagine you have been walking through a vast desert for what feels like lifetimes, carrying a heavy pack filled with everything you believe you need to survive. In this pack, you carry the masks you wear for different people, the scripts you recite to avoid disappointing anyone, the careful calculations of what each person wants to hear, the exhausting inventory of all the ways you must bend and shape yourself to earn love and acceptance. The pack grows heavier with each step. Your back aches. Your feet bleed. The sun beats down mercilessly, and you begin to wonder if you will ever reach the oasis you've been promised, that place where finally, everyone will be pleased with who you are, and you can rest in the perfect peace of universal approval. Then, in a moment that comes like grace itself, you stop walking. Not because you've reached your destination, but because something inside you whispers, what if I don't need to carry this pack at all? What if the oasis you're seeking isn't a place you arrive at, but a recognition of what has always been here, beneath the burden you've been carrying? With trembling hands, you set down the pack. And in that moment of release, you discover something that changes everything. You are not in a desert at all. You are standing in the most beautiful garden, surrounded by flowing streams and fruit, trees and flowers blooming in impossible colors. The desert was not your external reality. It was the lens of separation and striving, through which you had been seeing the world. This, the enlightened masters discovered, is the nature of awakening. It is not about becoming someone different or achieving some special state. It is about recognizing what has always been true, but was hidden beneath layers of conditioning, beneath the belief that your worth depends on your ability to make everyone else comfortable with your existence. The word Buddha itself means the awakened one, But awaken to what? Awaken to the recognition that the separate self you've been trying so hard to perfect and make acceptable to everyone that self was never real in the first place. It was like a costume you've been wearing so long you forgot it wasn't your skin. Beneath the costume, beneath the pack, beneath the exhausting performance of being who others want you to be, there has always been a presence so naturally perfect, so inherently worthy, so fundamentally at peace that it needs nothing from anyone to complete itself. This presence is not something you create through years of meditation or spiritual practice. It is something you recognize, like suddenly seeing the moon that was always there behind the clouds. Picture now this presence as a star, not just any star, but the particular constellation of awareness that is uniquely you. This star has been shining in the sky of consciousness since the moment you were born, with its own distinct light, its own perfect placement in the cosmic pattern, its own essential purpose that requires no validation from other stars. Sometimes, clouds pass in front of your star, the clouds of others' expectations, disappointments, demands. Sometimes these clouds are so thick they completely obscure your light, and you begin to forget that you are luminous at all. You start to believe you need to burn brighter to please the moon, or dimmer to avoid offending the sun, or change colors to match what the planets think stars should look like. But awakening is the moment when you remember that you are the star, not the clouds. The clouds of others' reactions to your choices, these are temporary weather patterns in the sky of relationship. They come and go with their own natural rhythms, but they never actually touch your essential light. You can shine authentically while others have their cloudy weather, trusting that eventually all weather passes, and what remains is the clear night sky in which every star shines with its own perfect luminosity. The mystical poet Rumi wrote, "You are not just the drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in each drop." In this moment of settling into sleep, feel into the truth of these words. You are not just a small self trying to gain approval from other small selves. You are the vast awareness in which all selves appear and dissolve. You are the space of consciousness itself, playing at being someone who needs others to be happy with them. This recognition brings not arrogance, but profound humility. Not separation, but deeper connection. When you know yourself as the ocean, you can care for all the other waves without needing them to be different than they are. When you recognize your own Buddha nature, you can see that same nature in everyone else, even when they're caught in their own clouds of confusion and reactivity. True awakening, the sages whispered, is realizing that there was never actually anyone who needed to be awakened. There is only awareness itself, playing at being separate, playing at being incomplete, playing at needing approval, until the game becomes too exhausting and awareness remembers its own infinite nature. But this is not a cold or distant recognition. It is the warmest truth of all. When you stop trying to be who others want you to be, you become available for authentic relationship. When you stop performing for approval, you can offer genuine presence. When you stop managing others' emotions, you can actually feel compassion for their struggles. The Zen master Hong Po taught, "Your everyday mind, that is the way." Your everyday mind, not performing or pretending or carefully calculating how to please everyone, but simply being present to what is, responding authentically to what life brings, saying yes when your heart says yes, and no when your soul says. Not this ordinary, authentic presence is enlightenment itself. As consciousness begins to drift now toward the borderland of dreams. Imagine that you are that star we spoke of, settled comfortably in the infinite sky of awareness. Other stars twinkle. Around you, some approving of your light, some indifferent, some perhaps wishing you would shine differently. But you simply continue to shine as you are, not because you don't care about the other stars, but because you trust that your authentic light is your gift to the constellation of existence. In this starlight meditation, there is no effort, no striving, no reaching for some future state of awakeness. There is only the gentle recognition of what has always been true. You are already whole, already worthy, already free. The awakening you seek is not something that happens to you. It is something you are, something you have always been, something that simply needs to be remembered rather than achieved. Let this recognition settle into your bones now, into the very core of your being. You are not a person who needs to become enlightened. You are enlightenment itself, temporarily playing at being a person who seeks approval. You are not someone who must earn the right to be authentic. You are authenticity itself, briefly forgetting its own nature. Rest now in this profound remembering, this homecoming to what you have never actually been separate from. Let sleep carry you into dreams where you soar as your true self, luminous, free, beloved not for what you do for others, but for the simple fact of your irreplaceable existence in the vast, loving cosmos of being docked in the cathedral silence of deep night, where even thoughts move slowly like honey dripping from ancient combs. Let us rest in the profound teaching that the Buddha discovered beneath the Bodhi tree, that true freedom is not found in action, but in the stillness that gives birth to all authentic action. Picture yourself sitting by the edge of an infinite ocean at that magical hour just before dawn, when the water is so calm it becomes a perfect mirror reflecting the last stars of night. The waves have stilled to gentle breathing, and the horizon dissolves into a seamless meeting of water and sky. In this vast quietude, you discover something revolutionary. You don't have to do anything to be free. Freedom is not an achievement. It is your natural state when all the doing stops. For so long, you have believed that freedom meant successfully managing everyone's emotions, ensuring no one was ever disappointed in you, keeping all the plates spinning in the circus of others' expectations. You thought freedom would come when you finally perfected the art of being everything to everyone, when you solved the impossible equation of making every person in your life completely happy with your choices. Watch now as the first ray of sunlight touches the water before you, creating a path of gold that stretches from the horizon to your feet. This golden path represents the bridge between the stillness you are discovering within yourself and the authentic action that naturally flows from this stillness. When you act from this deep peace rather than from the frantic need to please, your choices become expressions of your true nature rather than calculated strategies to avoid disappointing others. The Taoist sages called this Te, the virtue that flows effortlessly from one who has remembered their essential nature. It is not the exhausting effort to be good or pleasing or acceptable. It is the natural kindness that arises from someone who is at peace with themselves. Like a tree that doesn't try to be beautiful, but simply grows according to its nature, expressing its unique pattern of branching and leafing, you too can serve the world by being authentically yourself rather than a carefully crafted version, designed to avoid conflict. In this space of profound stillness, you begin to understand that saying no when your truth is no is not selfish. It is sacred. It is honoring the same authentic nature in yourself that you want others to honor in themselves. When you live from your center, from your natural stillness, your boundaries become expressions of love rather than walls of defense. Your authenticity becomes a gift that invites others into their own authenticity, rather than a threat that demands they adjust their expectations. Feel now how different this is from the exhausting vigilance of trying to manage everyone's emotional weather. In stillness, you can feel compassion for others' disappointment without taking responsibility for it. You can witness their anger without believing you caused it. You can see their sadness without rushing to fix it. Like the ocean that can hold all weather without being disturbed in its depths, you can remain peaceful in your core while others experience whatever emotional storms they need to experience. This is perhaps the most radical teaching of all, that your deepest service to others comes not from accommodating their every wish, but from modeling what it looks like to live from authentic inner stillness. When others see you at peace with yourself, even when they are displeased with your choices, they catch a glimpse of their own potential for inner freedom. When they witness you caring about their well-being without taking responsibility for their emotional states, they learn that love and detachment can coexist beautifully. Buddhist concept of upeksha, equanimity, describes this perfect balance. It is not indifference or coldness, but the warm, spacious love that can hold all experiences without being knocked off center by any of them. Like the sky that can hold thunderstorms and sunny days with equal grace, your awareness can embrace others' varied responses to your authenticity without losing its essential peace dot as your breathing slows and deepens now, matching the gentle rhythm of the waves before you. Allow yourself to sink into this oceanic stillness that is your true nature. Here, in this depth, there are no expectations to meet, no performances to maintain, no approval to seek. There is only the vast, loving awareness that you are capable of holding infinite experiences without being limited by any of them. Let this stillness fill every cell of your body now, like water filling a vessel, complete and satisfying and whole. You are not seeking this peace, you are recognizing the peace you have always been. You are not trying to become free from the need to please others. You are remembering that you were never actually bound by that need in the first place. In this recognition, authentic action becomes effortless. Boundaries become natural. Service becomes joyful rather than dutiful. Love becomes unconditional because it no longer depends on others' responses. You can care deeply while holding lightly. You can engage fully while remaining essentially free. Rest. Now in this infinite stillness, this oceanic peace that is both your deepest nature and your greatest gift to the world. Let the waves of others' expectations rise and fall on your surface while you remain unshakable in your depths, offering the world not what it demands from you, but what flows naturally from the inexhaustible wellspring of your authentic being. In the profound quietude of night's deepest hour, when time itself seems to pause and breathe, when the veil between the seen and unseen grows gossamer thin, let us rest in the ultimate teaching that every enlightened being has discovered, that stillness is not the absence of life, but life's most essential qualitative, unchanging awareness in which all change occurs. Imagine that you are floating in warm, cosmic darkness, suspended in the space between stars, held by invisible currents that require nothing from you but your willingness to be held. Here, in this infinite embrace, you discover something that transforms everything you thought you knew about existence. You don't have to maintain yourself. You don't have to keep yourself together. You don't have to manage your image or control others' perceptions or work constantly to earn your place in the universe. You are held by something so fundamental, so unconditional, so vast that your human mind can barely comprehend it. This is the stillness the mystics spoke of, not the stillness of a static object, but the dynamic stillness of pure awareness itself. It is the stillness of space that allows all movement, the stillness of consciousness that allows all experiences, the stillness of being that allows all becoming. The Buddha, in his deepest meditations, recognized this stillness as sunyata, emptiness that is simultaneously fullness, space that is pregnant with infinite possibility. It is not empty like a vacant room, but empty like the sky open, unlimited, capable of holding everything while being confined by nothing. This is what you truly are, beneath all the roles, all the performances, all the careful strategies to avoid disappointing others. When you rest in this cosmic stillness, you understand why all your efforts to please everyone have been so exhausting. You have been trying to maintain something that doesn't actually need maintenance. You have been trying to create something that already exists. You have been trying to earn what has always been freely given, like someone frantically swimming. To stay afloat while standing in shallow water, you have been working so hard to achieve what was already yours. In the Heart Sutra, one of the most profound texts in Buddhist literature, there is a line that goes, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form." What does this mean for someone caught in the endless cycle of trying to please everyone? It means that all the forms you take on, the helpful daughter, the accommodating friend, the yes-saying colleague, these are temporary shapes that awareness takes. Like clouds forming and dissolving in an endless sky. The clouds are real while they exist, but they are not permanent, and they are not you. You are the sky itself, changeless, boundless, naturally peaceful, undisturbed by whatever weather patterns move through your vastness. Others' disappointment in you is weather. Their approval is weather. Their anger, their sadness, their demands, all weather arising and passing away in the unchanging space of your true nature. From this perspective of cosmic stillness, you begin to see the beautiful irony of the human condition. We exhaust ourselves trying to achieve a peace that we already are, trying to earn a love that we are made of, trying to find a home that we never left. The spiritual path is not about becoming still. It is about recognizing the stillness that has always been your deepest identity. This recognition brings profound relief. Like a person who has been holding their breath for years finally remembering. They can exhale. You can finally stop the exhausting effort of trying to be acceptable to everyone. Not because you stop caring about others, but because you remember that your caring can flow from fullness rather than emptiness, from choice rather than compulsion, from the natural overflow of a heart that knows its own completeness. The Zen tradition speaks of shikantaza, just sitting, the practice of resting in awareness without any goal or technique or effort to achieve anything. This is not meditation as doing something, but meditation as being what you already are. Tonight, as sleep approaches like a gentle tide, you can practice this ultimate non-practicizably being present to your own presence, simply aware of your own awareness, simply still in your own natural stillness. In this profound rest, you discover that stillness is not passive, but infinitely creative. Like the dark, fertile soil from which all plants grow, like the silence from which all music emerges, like the emptiness of the womb from which all life springs, your essential stillness is the source from which all authentic action flows. When you serve others from this place of deep rest, your help carries a different quality. It is not driven by anxiety or guilt or the need to prove your worth. It flows naturally, like water finding its way downhill, offered when it wants to be offered, withheld when withholding serves the highest good of all. You become like a spring that shares its water freely but never runs dry, because it is connected to an infinite source. This is why the ancient masters taught that stillness is the deepest truth of all. Not because life should be static or unchanging, but because beneath all the movement and activity and endless drama of human existence, there is this unshakable peace that nothing can disturb. Not even others' disappointment in you. Not even your own temporary forgetting of who you are. Picture yourself now as a mountain, ancient, rooted, reaching simultaneously toward earth and sky. Storms may rage around your peaks. Seasons may change your appearance. Travelers may climb your slopes, seeking something they believe you can give them. But you remain essentially unchanged, offering your solid presence to the world, not because you must, but because solidity is your nature. You don't try to be a mountain for the storms, adjusting your shape to make them more comfortable. You don't apologize to the seasons for not changing fast enough to meet their expectations. You simply are what you are. Stable, generous, authentic, and this very authenticity becomes your gift to all who encounter you. As consciousness begins its gentle descent into dreams, let yourself sink into this mountain stillness, this cosmic rest that asks nothing from you but your willingness to be held by it. Here, in this infinite embrace, there is no one to please and no one to disappoint. There is only the vast, loving awareness that you are reprior to all stories, beyond all roles, deeper than all performances. This is your true face, dear friend. This is your Buddha nature. This is the stillness that is both your destination and your starting point, both what you seek and what you already are. Rest now in this recognition, letting it permeate every cell, every breath, every heartbeat, until you and the cosmic stillness are no longer two things, but one seamless whole perfectly at peace with itself, needing nothing from anyone to be. Complete **** in the hushed sanctuary of deep night, where dreams begin to weave their silver threads through consciousness, and the boundary between inner and outer worlds grows soft as morning mist. Let us journey through the sacred landscapes of the soul, those eternal metaphors that have guided seekers toward freedom since the beginning of human longing. Imagine you are standing beside an ancient river that has carved its way through the landscape for thousands of years. The water flows with such grace, such natural authority, such effortless power that you begin to understand something profound about the nature of authentic living. This river has never asked permission to flow where it flows. It has never apologized for carving valleys or creating waterfalls or changing the shape of the land through which it passes. Yet the river is not violent or inconsiderate in its flowing. It simply follows its nature, moving always toward what calls it, finding the path of least resistance while remaining true to its essential direction. When it encounters a boulder, it flows around it. When it reaches a cliff, it becomes a waterfall. When the land flattens, it meanders peacefully through meadows. But it never stops flowing, never loses its identity, never betrays its fundamental nature in order to please the landscape. This is what you are learning to become. Not rigid or harsh, but natural and authentic in your responses to life's terrain. Like the river, you can be flexible without losing your center, adaptable without abandoning your truth, considerate without sacrificing your essential direction. When others place boulders of expectation in your path, you can flow around them with grace. When they demand you flow uphill to accommodate their comfort, you can maintain your natural course with loving firmness. The river serves countless beings along its journey, providing water to drink, fish to catch, fertile soil for crops, transportation for travelers. But it serves by being itself, not by trying to be what each beneficiary thinks a river should be. Its service flows naturally from its authenticity. This is the secret you are discovering. The more genuinely yourself you become, the more genuinely helpful you are to others. Now lift your awareness to the sky above this river, where countless stars are scattered like diamonds across velvet darkness. Each star is unique, different in size, different in color, different in the light it offers to the cosmos. The small stars do not apologize for not being as bright as the large ones. The blue stars do not try to change their color to match the red ones. Each simply shines according to its nature, and the result is a symphony of light so beautiful it has inspired poets and lovers and mystics throughout all of human history. You too are a star in the constellation of existence, dear friend. Your light is unlike any other light that has ever shone or ever will shine. When you try to dim your radiance to avoid outshining others, when you attempt to change your color to match their preferences, when you apologize for the particular way, your light illuminates the world. You rob the cosmos of something irreplaceable, but when you shine authentically, according to your own nature, you take your proper place in the great pattern. Your light doesn't compete with other lights. It adds to the overall beauty. Your authenticity doesn't threaten others' authenticity. It invites them to remember their own unique radiance. Like stars in a constellation, each person's genuine nature combines with others to create something more magnificent than any individual could achieve alone. See how the moonlight falls on the river now, creating a path of silver that dances. with each ripple, each movement of water. The moon doesn't force its light upon the river, and the river doesn't reject the moon's illumination. There is a natural harmony between them. The moon offers its light freely, and the river receives it in its own way, creating beauty that neither could produce alone. This is the dance of authentic relationship, not the desperate attempt to control others' responses to your truth, but the graceful offering of your genuine self and the peaceful acceptance of how others choose to receive that offering. Some people will reflect your authenticity beautifully, like water reflecting moonlight. Others may not be in a position to receive what you offer, and that is perfectly natural too. The moon doesn't take it personally when clouds cover the river and obscure its reflection. It continues to shine, knowing that its light serves many purposes beyond just being reflected in water. Your authentic self, like the moon, serves the world in countless ways that you may never fully see or understand. Your commitment to being genuine gives others permission to be genuine. Your refusal to dim your light reminds others that they don't have to dim theirs either. Now let your imagination carry you to a majestic mountain that rises from the valley floor like a prayer made of stone and snow. This mountain has weathered countless storms, witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, remained steady through earthquakes and landslides, and the endless cycles of geological change. It stands as a testament to the power of being rooted in one's own nature while reaching toward something higher. The mountain teaches you about boundaries that arise naturally from your authentic center. Its slopes say no to certain activities while saying yes to others. You cannot grow tropical plants on its summit, cannot build a beach resort on its rocky cliffs, cannot expect it to be what it is not. Yet these natural limitations create space for what belongs. Alpine flowers that bloom nowhere else, eagles that nest in its heights, crystal streams that flow from its snow-covered peaks. Your own authentic boundaries work the same way. When you say no to requests that don't align with your nature, you create space for what truly belongs in your life. When you decline invitations to be someone you are not, you make room for opportunities to be more fully who you are. These boundaries are not walls built from fear, but natural expressions of your authentic terrain. Like the mountain, you can be immovable in your center while being generous with your gifts. The mountain shares its beauty with all who visit, provides habitat for countless creatures, offers its slopes for climbing and its views for inspiration. But it does all this by being itself, not by trying to become a beach or a desert or a forest to please different visitors' preferences. As sleep draws nearer now, carrying you deeper into the dream time where all boundaries dissolve and all metaphors reveal their essential unity. Let these images settle into your being like seeds planted in fertile ground. You are the river, natural, flowing, serving by being authentic. You are the star, unique, radiant, taking your proper place in the cosmic pattern. You are the moon, offering your light freely without attachment to how it is received. You are the mountain, rooted in your nature, generous in your expression, unmovable in your center. In the landscape of your authentic life, all these elements work together in perfect harmony. Your river nature flows with grace around obstacles. Your star nature shines according to its own light. Your moon nature offers illumination without forcing. Your mountain nature stands firm in its center while reaching toward the infinite sky. This is the geography of freedom, dear friend. This is the terrain of a life lived from authentic center rather than anxious periphery. Rest now in this sacred landscape of your own being, letting sleep carry you into dreams where you remember, always remember, that you are not a problem to be solved or a performance to be perfected, but a unique expression of the cosmos, learning to trust its own natural unfolding. Asterisk.